Welcome back to the Michael Batson Show. Week 4 of college football is already gone. Can you believe that? A pretty good week. We had Kent State hang in there with Georgia. Georgia won. We had Wake Forest and Dave Clawson's team with Sam Hartman hang in with a very good Clemson team. Clemson won. Miami lost. We had Texas lose to Texas Tech. So lots of things to talk about. But I'm going to talk about the Michigan game first. This is in my heart. Uh, you know, I think everybody was expecting Michigan kind of blow them out, run them out of town, especially with the kickoff where Maryland had a error. Michigan got it at the 10, and they scored 8 seconds in with the RPO from Corum to I think it was Schoonmaker. So everybody after that moment was expecting Michigan to run Maryland out of the building, and Maryland stayed in. Tulia played good. This Maryland team had a good way to stop JJ from having deep plays. They handled the crowd well. Michigan got out of it in the end, but Maryland, led for some of it and almost had a victory in the Big House. So, kudos to this Maryland team. But if you're a Michigan fan, you're thinking, what should I think, right? I mean, it's a Big Ten team. We know Maryland's okay, but we barely escaped, and we're thinking about Ohio State. We're thinking about Michigan State, and we can't get out of Maryland. We didn't look great. What should we think? I think there's, a lot of pros and a lot of cons. And I think I go back to the Rutgers game last year about how this is just like that game. Michigan was ranked, I think, 5. They were supposed to get out of the Rutgers game. They were supposed to blow them out. I think it was last year, it was I think it was week 5. And Rutgers hung in there, and we kind of learned what K needed to work, and I think we learned about Hutchinson, that he's a beast. So it was a learning moment last year, and it's a learning moment this year. I'll go through the pros first, because there were a lot of pros. First, I don't know if we're surprised by this. We're impressed, but Corum with another good game. He had 243, 2 touchdowns. He had a hell lot of carries, too. Put him up for the Heisman, please. Can we? I mean, he's making as much of a difference as Michigan as any player could on any other team. JJ played all right? I mean, he went 18 for 26, 2 touchdowns. The first touchdown, of course, came in the first 10 seconds on the 10-yard line. He didn't make many mistakes. He looked better in the second half. This was his first Big Ten game, so keep that in mind. And he looked calm, cool, and collected in the second half. This was a hard defense Maryland was playing. We'll get into that in a little bit. But JJ, broke it down, took the dump offs which Maryland gave them, and didn't try to force anything, deep. He only took a few deep shots, which he was somewhat off in today's game, or, Saturday's game. So, I think still it's just a little hiccup in the road for JJ. Still, I think he played well with 2 touchdowns. The offense line, we know, is great. They blocked for Corum. The wide receiver core, I'm a little bit scared about. For the past 1 or 2 years, you've been thinking, Henning and Johnson and Wilson will be veterans by this year. They'll know the game plan. We'll have Ronnie Bell as a senior, the playmaker. We'll have 2 good tight ends, with Schumacher and Eric Hall. 1, Eric Hall's out. And 2, we haven't seen the level of production that any of us would think. Now, I know Bella had 3 receptions, 72 yards. Most of it came on a chunk play for 40 yards. He only had 3 receptions. Henning, I don't think, had a reception. I think, Cornelius Johnson had 2 receptions. One of them went for 11 because Maryland blitzed, and he kind of just went a quick slant 2 yards in. So there's just really no wide receivers for JJ to throw to. And when he got out of the pocket looking in person, because I was there, the wide receivers almost started blocking for JJ to run when he got out of the pocket and was scrambling, and they didn't, they weren't trying to get open. JJ was there for 10, 12 seconds looking downfield. No one was open. So this wide receiver core needs to step up. I need to see more from Ronnie Bell. I need to see more from, Cornelius Johnson. But I also think just this wide receiver core is not Ohio State. It's not Alabama. We need to make it better, and we need to have better wide receiver crews for next year because, just the guys, they could be good, but they're not going to be great because we just don't have a great wide receiver core, and we never seem to get a good wide receiver core at Michigan. So that should be one of the main focuses coming into recruiting for the next few years. Listen, the defensive front needs work. And I think that, I think we got pressure on Tulia sometimes, but we couldn't finish. And I think last year Hutchinson and Ojabo could finish. We don't have them this year. Someone needs to step up. Chris Jenkins, Maisie Smith, and, Mike Morris didn't have a sack. The only sack came from Mike Santrezl, a cornerback. I need to see more out of this defensive front because we lost two. I get that, but Mike Morris, Maisie Smith, they need to step up versus good opponents. I like this defensive backfield with DJ Turner. We talked about Mike Santrezl. He had a sack. He's looking like a freak out there. Multiple interceptions for, RJ Moda, as I said, DJ Turner. I'm really excited about this defensive backfield. And when we come to play Ohio State, I don't know yet, but it seems like this defensive backfield is athletic enough and good enough to almost compete with Ohio State's wide receiver front. We'll talk about that. But I think what I said earlier is that Iowa played good defense on Michigan because when they showed they were going to blitz, they dropped 7 and only, rushed 3. They never blitzed. They kept everything in front of them. And because of that, JJ had to take, the dump offs to Schumacher for 6 yards. Or, like the screens to Corum. He needed to take those dump offs because Maryland was not letting any big plays go. JJ took 4 shots, maybe overshot some, but also it was tight coverage because they dropped 7 back. So what Maryland did was not let up the big plays. They said, we're not going to give you 20 plays, 20 yards of play. We're going to give you 5 yards of play. We're going to challenge JJ to kind of, be kind of mature, take the dump offs, and Maryland was waiting for the mistakes when JJ threw because he didn't see that extra level of defense when they dropped 8. And I think that Iowa next week at Kinnick Stadium with the crowd will look for the same thing. JJ, that's gonna be his first, away game. Fox Big Noon will be there. There's gonna be a lot of pressure there. He's gonna try to impress people. They're gonna drop 8. They're gonna dare him to throw that deep ball, dare him to make mistakes. We know Iowa's D is good at making interceptions. They're good at takeaways. I think they're best in the country about that. So they're going to challenge McCarthy to make mistakes, do too much. And, McCarthy will just have to take the checkdowns again like he did against Maryland. But I think it's a good learning experience for JJ. It's a good learning experience for Michigan versus Maryland. And Maryland played good. Look, I mean, if we didn't convert that, 3rd and 7, 5 minutes left, which JJ had a nice deep ball to Ronnie Bell, this would have been a 5-point game with Maryland's momentum going 6 minutes left. Maryland could have won this game easily if Michigan didn't, do stuff that went their way late in the 4th. So this was a challenge. Many people didn't expect it. But JJ took a step. But there's definitely some pros and cons coming into Kinnick Stadium where Jim Harbaugh said, top 5 teams go to die. Look it up. It's crazy. They beat every top 5 team. This is the Michael Batson Show. Thank you for joining us. Later today, I will be talking about the NFL. Week 3 wrapped up. Week 4 is tomorrow with the Dolphins and Bengals. We're going to talk about the Monday night game. If Daniel Jones is a QB, should they let him go? This is his last year if he doesn't prove so. We're also going to talk about the Dolphins, their big win, and lots more on the Michael Batson Show. Thank you so much for joining us.